I'm Doug.
And I'm Cathy.
And this is Maggie Mae. Join us as we follow the moon. Today, we want to share with you some of the beautiful nature that you'll find in the Florida Keys. And a lot of people, when they think of the Florida Keys, they think of Key West and the bustling nightlife and all the historic treasures that there are.
There's just so much more.
Absolutely. So we want to show you some of the wildlife, the birds, the marine life that you'll find in the Florida Keys.
Thanks.
Now, one of the things we notice in the Keys is it's like a whole different world. It's a whole different ecosystem down there. And what better way to see this land that's all surrounded by water than out on the water?
That's right.
So Cathy had a great opportunity. We had ran into friends of ours down there. Thank you again, Debbie and Bill. And Debbie and Cathy went out on the kayaks.
And it was a blast. It really was. Being on the ocean, the water currents, you have to time them just perfectly or you're going to get swept out to sea. And it was a little more challenging than my trip on a peaceful lake in Kentucky.
Yeah, this was only Cathy's second time out on a kayak, and boy, is she hooked.
That's right. We went out to this little island, which if you're not a kayaker and you're going over the bridge, you look out there and go, oh, that's way out there. And it was pretty fun. It's a little place called Little Rachel. And there was just so much. That first shell was a conch shell. It's live. And then we had these little hermit crabs.
It's like an RV park. They all have their own little individual houses that they take with them.
I've heard that they line up in sizes when they're starting to outgrow their shells, and they all just kind of move on from one shell to the next as each one moves out and a new one moves in. I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought it was a great story.
Now, you were saying that this little island was showing its wear from the recent hurricanes.
Oh, yeah. She was saying this had been lush and forested with mangrove trees, and it was just wiped. But even though that the hurricanes had gone through and wiped it out, if you look down in all of those little tide pools were just teeming with life.
Now, we stayed at Sunshine Key, which is just past the 7 Mile Bridge from Marathon. And this was just off to the, I don't have my bearings, but to the south.
The south end of it, yeah.
So it was a nice, it was kind of like on the way around the island towards Bahia Honda.
Now, she also told me that you can walk across from Bahia Honda. The water is really not as deep as it looks, and that was something that was eye-opening to me, was seeing that the water is not always as deep as it looks. There's a little
is that a man o' war?
That's a man o' war. Yeah, that was a little bitty one too. They're so pretty. And those shells people have found, and they just leave them up there for you to take. I took pictures instead.
Somebody else will enjoy it.
Absolutely.
The water is so clear, and the color of it is so pretty, the turquoise and the green. And
yeah, it was. And it was a beautiful day. It was just a perfect day.
So now we have a kayak on the list.
Yeah, down the list. Depends on where we go next year.
Now, next up, if you're talking about nature, you got to talk about all of those chickens.
Oh, they're so fun.
And Key West is known for it, but they're throughout the Keys.
Yeah, they are.
And they run around. They're protected. And you'll see single ones. This one we thought was one by itself until we started to see her whole family come out. I think there was 7 or 8 of them.
She's rooting through right there by the busy street, as you can see the traffic going by, and they're just all following Mama around like, find me some grubs.
Here's the other bit. These are not native to the Keys, but there are iguanas pretty much all the way
they're
across.
everywhere, and they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're not like the little chameleon ones that we get on up in Central Florida. These guys are pretty good size.
And they're very cash.
Now, they didn't like me to get too close to get their pictures, but that's where Cathy and her long lens come in handy.
I'm very stealthy too. I could stand behind trees and work my way around them. That guy looks like he's kind of small till you get up to him. There's actually 2 of them there, 3 of them there.
Now, these are some still pictures that Cathy was able to get with her long lens. And just to let you see the details on these.
The colors. Whew. The brilliance of their colors.
Yeah, look at that face.
And that was the big guy. Or gal.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Laid there the entire time and just never moved, just hung out, not bothered by me at all.
And the colors.
Maybe it's a guy, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, our next stop was Crane Point Hammock. And this one caught my eye by the old railroad car out front. This was actually found down on Pigeon Key by the old 7 Mile Bridge.
They were going to throw it away.
They were going to scrap it. And the people at Crane Point said, we'll take it, we'll restore it.
Yeah.
And that's out in front of their business. But Crane Point is got a museum, it's got a nature area, it's got a 1.5 mile nature trail. Look at this guy, over 700 pounds, a sunfish. They grow them really big down there.
Yes, they do.
Everything. This was one of the old boats that they found.
That's the early version of a kayak.
Yeah. Now, they had a couple of land tortoises there. What you normally see, and he was going to come right on out there, I thought. Yeah. But what you normally see and think of in the Keys are the sea turtles. But these guys were just giant land tortoises.
Every time I tried to get close enough, he'd turn around and run. So I got pictures of his butt.
Now, that is the type of boats that they find people when they've left Cuba to come across the strait to the Keys. Those are the ones that they find left along the edges of the shore.
Yeah.
Now, here at Crane Point, they do have a wild bird center. And anything...
They rescue them.
Yeah. And some of these won't be able to be released. They've got deformities to their wings now. They couldn't protect themselves in the wild. But they have pelicans and osprey. This one pink spoonbill is just incredible.
This guy was beautiful.
There's the spoonbill back there.
Yeah. And this was all very shaded. It was very comfortable to walk back.
After the bird sanctuary, you go on back by the Crane House. And the Crane House was built by Francis and Mary Crane. And they lived in this house. It was built by a Miami architect, I guess a very famous one. His name was Wall Snyder, back in 1954. The house has been open for tours. It was closed when we were there and is going through pretty extensive renovations to get it back to its original.
This seems like a recurring theme for
Yeah,
us.
it does.
That was beautiful right there.
That was like their front yard. It was beautiful.
They have a lot of boats that have been donated or washed up too, that they just have sitting around the shoreline. And they are out on the end of a peninsula.
Yeah, this is actually Crane Point out here on the tip. And the views out here are just incredible. Now, if you need a little bit of a spa day, they have a section here for fish pedicure. And people were doing it.
Yes, they were.
The idea of fish eating at my toes does not do anything for me.
I didn't do it because I had just done my toenails, and I didn't think that it would be good for him to eat that.
Now, this is the Adderley house. George Adderley established this area called Adderley Town. And it was basically sponging is how it started. And there were 5 homes back here. This is the only one there today. But this was a very historic site back here. And it actually is the oldest dwelling in Monroe County outside of Key West.
I loved how the ceiling, the walls didn't go all the way up to the ceiling. Got a nice airflow.
Yeah, everything done for ventilation. You can tell how humid and hot it gets down there.
I think they said there were 5 of them in that little area right there.
There were 5 originally. This was the pass that you had from this 1.5-mile trail. It was a great walk. And it is 100% pet friendly.
Yes.
A lot of times you get on these trails and they're not. Now this is the Florida Cracker House. And this has a lot of exhibits on butterflies, sea turtles, shells.
It's a children's center.
Yes. Look at this shell as a doorstop there. That was amazing. But this really takes you back to what the Keys really were.
Yes.
When they were just getting settled. Next up is all of the marine life that you'll find. This was actually at the marina at Sunshine Key where we were staying. And we were seeing anything from the small fish to pelicans, and it kind of went up from there. We're finding some larger fish, and I don't know my fish varieties, but that one I knew.
Yes.
There was a pipe coming down there that was actually the drain for the fish cleaning station. That manatee was laying on its back, letting that little drip go right in its mouth.
They're so graceful.
And they're so big in real life when you see them.
Yeah. Of course, after I'd been out on the water, then I started seeing what's in the water.
Look at all those little tiny ones. And then down there on the bottom, I believe is a nurse shark. It is a shark, but I believe the ones on the bottom they said were the nurse sharks.
And there were 3 of them that day.
Cathy got a real nice close-up of it there. Now next up, we went to Marathon Key to the turtle hospital. And whenever there's a turtle that's found injured, caught in a net, anything like that, they're taken here. This was originally a motel, and a hurricane went through about 20 years ago and damaged the area. This is actually a sea turtle undergoing surgery, but damaged the area, so they closed down the hotel and turned the entire facility into the sea turtle hospital.
And the doctors actually live there.
They live in those motel rooms. So it's really quite a place. There's 2 main things that happen. If the shells are injured, they get air pockets under the shell, which they call them bubble butt, and it makes the shells deformed and makes normally the back end of the shell float so that the turtle can't get to the lower areas and feed. So they actually glue weights on the shells of those. That's about all they can do. They've got ways that they can fill part of it with the same sort of a substance that they use on fingernails.
Kind of like a resin or something.
Yeah. But the weight seems to be the biggest thing. The other one, they get a version of the papillomavirus, so they end up with these large tumors, and that's what you'd seen there in the surgical suite. They were lasering those off, and those, if it's the tumors, can normally go right back out into the ocean again. But for those that can't, they have a life here, and they've had some here since the inception of the place.
And I think I read somewhere that they will name the turtle after you if you have found it and they've been able to rescue it.
Mm-hmm.
They name it after you.
That's right. But there's a lot of them there living their best life now.
That's right.
That wouldn't have had a chance of survival. Those are 5 babies that they had turned in, and they're just monitoring them to make sure that they remain healthy, and then they'll be released to the wild. There are some that are missing flippers. It's a remarkable facility. Now this one we noticed on the way in and didn't realize that Fred was famous. The little one beside him is Randy, but the bigger one there is Fred. He's located on the 7 Mile Bridge, and he's normally decorated up for Christmas, but this year he was starring in a movie with, I think it was Jake Gyllenhaal.
I remember saying the first time across the bridge how odd it was that there was a tree growing on the bridge.
Mm-hmm. If you use Google Maps, you'll actually find him on the map. The key deer we have never found before, but we went out to No Name Key, which is just a short drive off of the Overseas Highway, and they are all over.
They're just everywhere.
They are endangered. They ask you not to feed them, but they did seem pretty tame.
Yes, they did.
In fact, we had one of them that decided he was going to come right up to Cathy's rolled down car window, and again, Cathy did the rescue. She got some really great close-up shots here we're going to share with you.
So close that at one point I couldn't tell what I was looking at, and I realized, oh, it's his nose. Oh, the nose filled the whole camera lens.
And they are beautiful. They're smaller, they're shorter legged than the deer I remember from up north, but they're beautiful. Look at that face.
I know.
Well, Cathy, we got to see a whole lot of the nature side of the Keys. What did you think of everything?
I think this is amazing. I really do love it here.
It's so otherworldly, and we've talked about so many times, having lived in Florida for as many years as we did, this isn't Florida at all. This is something entirely different down here. You see things here that you don't see in the rest of the state. So if you've been to Florida and you haven't experienced the Keys yet, you need to come down here. Check out everything there is to do and see, but don't forget about the great nature there is to take in the area.
That's right.
So with that said, if you enjoyed the video today, leave us a thumbs up. We sure do appreciate it. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do so and ring that notification bell. That way you'll know when every video comes out.
And thank you for following us as we follow the moon.
Thanks for watching today.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel.
And be sure to ring the notification bell so you'll know when new videos come out.
Don't forget to follow us on social media too.